Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at, Shrouded Fable. Because Shrouded Fable is out this weekend. Well, kind of out this weekend, you know the deal. The booster bundles aren't actually out for like another 5 weeks, and the Elite Trainer boxes are delayed. At least that's what we're hearing. But the set is generally out. And that gives us 2 weeks until Worlds. So what do you need to be picking up? What does a buy list look like for Shrouded Fable? Well, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm here to tell you about. The cards you need to be picking up for the set. My theory with buy list generally is, in terms of like main attackers, I'm not sure you need to pick everyone up right now. Like for me, I'm picking up Zoroark. I'm getting a playset of Zoroark as fast as humanly possible, because that is a card I'm going to build a deck around. But if you're not going to play Zoroark, I'm not entirely sure you need a full playset of them. This might be a bad example. I think you probably do need Zoroark. But the point I'm making here is, in terms of main attackers, if you're going to play Kingdra, pick up Kingdra. Otherwise, probably don't pick up Kingdra. Pick up the other thing you need in the meantime, so that you've got everything ready to go, so that if you do decide to play a Kingdra deck, you can go and pick up some Kingdra, but everything else is in your binder, available, ready to go. Job's a good un. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So starting off, I think you need a playset of Dartrix. Now here, admittedly it is United Wings, but it's cheap. It's a common, and I'm not saying United Wings is going to become really, really good really, really soon, but I absolutely am saying that Dartrix has a lot of potential to make United Wings really, really good. It's another Pokemon that means you can do an extra 80 damage, 4 more United Wings Pokemon in your discard. It's stage 1, so you can't start with it, and it hits a new weakness. Just putting that one out there. I do think you are going to need yourself a couple of copies of Iron Moth. And the reason, very simply, is it's free energy, but it does 120 and then prevents all damage done by ancient Pokemon next turn. I'm not saying that this is magically going to become some stunning card, which you're going to be playing in everything, but I'm saying if ancient decks ever get good, you're going to want a couple copies of it. Revavroom EX, I am very tentatively saying you need 1 to 2 of these. Because for a single energy, you do 140 if you move from the bench to the active. But basically, this is a lightning Pokemon that attacks for metal energy, which means there is absolutely a possibility that you might end up playing this in a metal deck to hit a new weakness. Now, Dusclops and Dusknoir, no mucking about, you need 4 of these. These are 2 of the very best cards in the entire set. They are absolutely phenomenal. Because Dusclops drops 5 damage counters onto a Pokemon, Dusknoir drops 13 onto a Pokemon. Do remember that they have to all go onto the same Pokemon, but then you get KO'd. But we got a million different cards that can take advantage of being behind on prizes or having given up a KO. This is already proving to be a staple in Charizard decks, and I know not every deck is going to play 4 of them necessarily, but this is too good not to have a playset of sitting waiting around. Blood Moon Ursaluna, I think you need a couple of these, because you've got maybe up to 4, 2 to 4 here, I'm going to say. Because firstly, you've got an ability that lets you attach an extra 2 basic fighting when you bench it. And we've seen a bunch of abilities like this in the past, and they've always been good. And then for free energy, 100 plus 30 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active. But of course, you can bench this and attach free energy straight away. So it becomes a decent attacker. I like Blood Moon Ursaluna, and I like getting extra energy on the board, and I do think this one's going to come up. Now, Sliverwing, I think, again, you need a couple copies of this one, because it does 140 if your opponent's got a future Pokemon in play. You don't have to be attacking into a future Pokemon, you just need your opponent to have a future Pokemon in play. Great counter for Iron Hands here for a couple of energy, and yeah, there's other things you do, but that's the main one for me. I think this one has a huge amount of potential. Even though I used it as an example of don't pick it up unless you're going to play a deck, I've already changed my mind. 2 to 4 Zoroark. Illusory Hijacking, 2 energy, 60 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V in play. It's a stage 1 that attacks for colorless energy and could be useful against a variety of different decks. I think this is one to think about. Evil Tal, I think you need a couple copies of this one. When I'm saying 2 to 4, what I basically mean is, if you really think you're going to build a deck around it, or you really see the utility, get 4. If you want to hedge a little bit more, pick up 2. For me, I'm picking up 4 of all of them, but I think these 2, there's an argument you might never play more than 2. But what we've got here is single energy, put 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. Any kind of spread deck you play in the future, firstly it gets around Manaphy, which is awesome because you're dropping damage counters, but also it just builds up damage really, really quickly. I like Evil Tal. I think it's very, very good. Monkey Dory EX, there is a strong argument for picking up one of these. I don't think you're ever really going to play more than one, but there's a strong argument for picking up one of these because, oh no, you don't, means it's a single prize Pokemon, and that's pretty good. Fezandipti, you need 2 of these. I don't know if you'll ever need more than 2, if I'm honest, but you need 2 Fezandipti. The ability flip the script, letting you draw free cards if you had a Pokemon KO'd last turn, it's too good. Fezandipti is the best card in the set. You need a couple of these. Cruel Arrow is also a decent attack for colorless energy, but you need these. Petulant EX, you're going to need yourself a couple of these, just because it is really good at switching your active Pokemon. Also decent attack, 60 for each prize card your opponent's taken, but in like any Darkness deck for the next couple years, you need to at least be considering Petulant. Genesect, I think you need a couple of these. Again, I don't think you'll ever need more than 2 in case 1 is prized, but if it's got a tool attached, your opponent can't play Ace-Specs from their hand, and frankly, that's really good. Haxorus, I think you need 1 or 2 of these. It's largely for Regidrago decks, or anything that can copy the attack, but single energy, if your opponent's got a special energy, it's knocked out. Yeah. Evolving up to a stage 2 is a bit of a pain, but we've already got stuff like Regidrago that can copy this. It's too good. And then Kyurem, I'm putting 2 to 4. You probably only really need 2, but if your opponent's got a chorus card in the discard pile for a single energy, you deal 110 to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon, it's too good not to tech into some decks. So there's your Pokemon. What have we got in terms of trainer cards? Well, general rule here is that you're probably going to need a playset of everything. The good news is there aren't that many of them. 4 Academy at Night, because it's a stadium card that lets you put a card from your discard pile onto the top of your deck. Lots of combos with that. People are going to play it. Binding Mochi, you do an extra 40 damage if your Pokemon is poisoned. Again, too much potential here in any poison deck. Cassiopeia, I know most decks are only ever going to play 1 or 2, but you never know which deck is going to want to play 4, and searching for any 2 cards, even though you've got to empty your hand, is too good. Chorus's Tenacity is an awkward one. I'm putting 1 to 4 here because Chorus's Tenacity makes you very, 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 very vulnerable to Kyurem, which gives a strong argument not to play it. But if people give up on Kyurem, it searches a stadium and an energy, it's still pretty gosh darn good. Dangerous Laser, obviously you only need 1 because it's an A-Spec, and it's right now a terrible A-Spec. Burn and Confusion is not good enough, but you never know how good it might be in the future. Neutralization Zone. Again, it's an A-Spec. You only ever need 1. You're only allowed to play 1. But this is the best A-Spec in the set. Stops damage to non-rulebox Pokemon from EXs and Vs. It's really good. And Poke Vital A, again, heals 150. Can't be recovered from the discard. It's not a good A-Spec. But pick up one of these because you never know what's going to be good in the future. Your binder should have 1 of every A-Spec in, just in case. Power Glass, you need 4 because it's a really nice tool that attaches energy at the end of your turn. And I've already seen this see a bunch of playing decks over in Japan. And then finally, we've got 06 Machination, which allows you to make your opponent discard until they've only got 3 cards left in their hand. Probably best in a control deck, but this is another one of those. We're not necessarily here giving a buy list for what you need right at this second. we're saying, what do you need to have in your binder? What do you need to have in a deck box? So that when you go, oh, that looks really good, you can just build it right away. And that's what we've got here. So there we go. There's your buy list. Whole thing is on the screen now. It's quite small compared to a regular set because Shrouded Fable is quite small compared to a regular set. But I've told you everything, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me which cards you think shouldn't be on the list that I have put on the list, and tell me which cards I have put on the list that you don't think I should have. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel that the lovely Quentin Geno, I think that's pronounced correctly, sorry if it's not, who's our newest patron and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.